Welcome back. You are with your Feel Good Breakfast Show on a very Feel Good Thursday morning, having a blast with some of our favorite old friends here on Expresso. Now, Fransa Katz has always been there to help us make those decisions about things medically related when we know it's bringing safety back into our own homes. And this morning, well, it couldn't get more important than this. First aid kits, medicines we need to have at home, ready to use. Fransa, thank you so much for joining us and for bringing your massive first aid kit. It's a first aid explosion on the show this morning. This is something that I think all of us need to be aware of. We need to have a first aid kit at home, but I think all of us, you
don't normally... It's not something that is first in your thoughts or in your mind. You don't normally think about it. And the time when you do think about it is usually when it's an emergency and you need something and there's nothing to use in the house. So,
okay, so where do we start when building our own little first aid kit?
First thing I would say is to have a little first aid kit. I brought a small one, which is actually one of our pick and pay first aid kits that we sell. This is also actually a nice one to put in your car, because it's very good to have one in the car as well. And this basically gives you your plasters, just the basic things to put a plaster if you've cut your finger, a bandage here and there. And then also important, it gives you something for a burn, especially in the kitchen when you burn while making food. You know exactly, for me, I find if I have everything in a little bag, I find it.
Yeah.
If I don't, and my plasters were in the kitchen and with everybody in the house...
You're searching, looking for that one plaster that you know that you have somewhere. Yeah.
So having a basic first aid kit is a very good idea to start with that. And as I said, get a little one to put in your car as well. And then moving from your first aid kit, just to discuss a few medicines that you can keep at home for emergencies that I would suggest would be a good idea. What I've got here is, first of all, you would always think of a painkiller. Everybody at some stage would end up with a headache. So I would suggest, we've got here a little bottle. Obviously, if you have a small child at home, you will get the syrup. For the adults, you can get a paracetamol tablet as your basic painkiller to keep at home. But you can also get an anti-inflammatory, which works better for muscle aches, for inflammation. It also helps for high temperatures. If you wake up at night and you've got starting the flu and you've got a high temperature, your anti-inflammatory works very well for that. Be sure when you go and get all these medicines, you can get over the counter from your pharmacy. But speak to the pharmacist, because sometimes, for instance, anti-inflammatories, not everybody can take an anti-inflammatory. If you suffer from asthma, it's contraindicated. You shouldn't take an anti-inflammatory, for example. So before you just buy, speak to the pharmacist, speak to one of our pick and pay pharmacists. They would gladly advise you whether you can take it and which one. But for a general idea, we will say, you have a painkiller, have an anti-inflammatory, especially for the muscle aches. Then it's always a good idea to have an antihistamine. Often you could have something to eat in the evening, and I don't know if you've experienced, but when you do get sick, it's always at night, and there's no pharmacy nearby that's open. So if you have had something to eat or whatever happens, and you suddenly wake up and you're itchy, it's the worst thing to lie and scratch the whole night, and you can't get rid of this itch.
I'll tell you a funny thing is, we used to tease a friend of mine's girlfriend about being a hypochondriac. I had an allergic reaction, and it was the fact that she had these antihistamines on her at the time that literally saved my life.
Yes,
it gave us enough of a window for me to be able to get to a paramedic to get the treatment that I needed. So you're not wanting to become a doctor, but it's about giving you
just that
gap.
During the night, even with flu, high temperature, having this at home can see you through during the night time or during the day or the weekend till you can get to your doctor. Okay, so we've said, and then another thing that's important, your antihistamine, get tablets as well as a cream. Often people just keep the cream at home, but we find that if you take an antihistamine tablet with it, it just works so much faster through the bloodstream. And then, of course, always anti-nausea anti-diarrhea, and something for cramps, because that always ends up
The thing
happening
that you
in the middle of the
desperately
night.
need when you don't have it,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, so that is another basic I would keep. A good idea is to keep a eye drop, but your artificial tears.
Okay.
And that's mostly for when you find there's something in the eye that's irritating, some dust or something, and then the artificial tears can just help wash out the eye instead of you trying to get this out of
Sure.
your eye, which can be dangerous. So it's a good idea to keep that. Yeah, with your...
No, sorry, just to interject. Obviously, you want something that is soft on the eye. We're not looking for a
Yes,
bleach to whiten the eye. We want something that's going to aid to wash it out.
For any other eye condition, you would first go to your pharmacist or speak to them, and if they feel it's very, they don't think the over-the-counter eye drops can help, they will direct you to go see your doctor if it's an infection,
You don't play
etc.
around with your eyes.
So your basic medicine for home is just to help you in a situation where nobody else can help at the time. Okay, we've said with the anti-diarrhea medicine, you can also keep a probiotic, especially if you have small children. The probiotic helps very quickly to bind the stomach, and you don't have to give small children, you can't really give anti-diarrheals.
Sure. It's quite a heavy,
So keep a probiotic if you've got little kids at home. And then the last one I have here was an antacid. Again, often at night, after you've had a big meal, we tend to have our big meals in the evening, or that. Then you end up, when you go lie down, and suddenly it's reflux and, burny stomach. So keep an antacid. You get those that you can just pop in a glass of water. Good idea to keep that with you at home as well. So to just summarize, one thing I nearly forgot, also a good idea, is to keep an ice pack.
Yes.
Often we just sprain a muscle, or the kids run around and they sprain something.
It beats a steak on the eye, yeah.
Or a pack of peas.
Awesome,
yeah.
Fransa, thank you so much.
Yeah, that is just the basic first aid kit I would suggest everybody should keep at home.
I love it, and I have to thank PAX 3D. The display cabinet is awesome. You want to make sure that you can see what is in your little cabinet and in your first aid kit. Make sure your family knows exactly where they are, and if you have small children in the house, make sure that you're keeping things separate so that they don't have access to things that potentially could harm them. But Fransa, thank you so much. I feel very prepped, and I can see a few holes in my own little cabinet that I need to fill here. But again, thanks to PAX 3D, awesome display cabinets, worthwhile having something that you can see into. Well, a feel-good breakfast show continues this morning. Zweig Barlow is in the house, and we're getting all nostalgic, getting into some of his amazing backstory. But I think the highlight for all of us on a Thursday morning has to be G Sports, and believe it or not, Justin Bieber has even permeated this level of life. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to respond to that, guys.
By supporting the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre, that's where we found goodness. Pick n Pay, always there for you.